What's up, guys? I'm Pencil. Here we want to do a breakdown a breakdown and review of chapter 147 of Four Knights of the Apocalypse, which is known as The Difference in Power. And you can tell the fact that I gotta call it Four Knights of the Apocalypse means that we're in real danger right now, y'all. So let's not waste any more time and let's hop right into it. Editing me, are you ready? 3, 2, 1, go. What's up, guys? That guy with a pencil here. Fun fact, I do happen to have it on me and keep it on me at all times. Another fun fact.
Not my baby! No!
Oh, not my baby. That's not even the worst part. Not my baby, bro. Why'd they do this to my baby? Okay. We have other things to talk about in the chapter. The chapter isn't all just my baby, not my baby boy. But first things first, we do get to tackle Diane still being a W mama. A kind of L mama in a way, but a W mama. I do like that we do get the wrap up of the post-Myrtle epidemic, essentially, because we kind of wrap off last chapter with a conclusion, but not like a conclusion, you know what I'm talking about, to the point where it was just Myrtle falling to his knees. But now we get to see the after effects. Myrtle's naturally back to and not over my son getting speared, but over the fact that, yeah, he was completely purified. And while he may have been, like, partially transformed into a very giant human hybrid by the Chaos Staff or the Longing or Desire spell, that's now over. So we see Myrtle's back under the effects of being a human in the fairy realm and is currently coughing up his lungs. And of course, with all the Mullen pills being absolutely annihilated, he has no more Mullen pills. So he's currently in dire straits, meaning Myrtle is going to be a sort of pseudo-objective that we're going to have to take care of these next couple chapters because of what ends up happening in this chapter and what doesn't end up happening in this chapter. Another thing that doesn't end up happening in this chapter is Myrtle doesn't accidentally get in contact with King or anybody, no one gets in contact with King to free Nasians or Tiore from Pollen Garden. Remember, King is currently, who knows how far away, currently with Kilbegon. I don't know what's taking him so long. Like, dog, you almost instant one-shotted him with a from Sunflower when the Spirit Spear is explicitly split and nerfed right now. If you don't hit that man with another Sunflower Blast, again, like, why are you taking so long about it? But with that being the case, Myrtle is kind of stuck without a possible cure because Nasian sort of admits, hey, I'll be real with you, bucko. I could probably take care of it because of his long amount of years here. He's studied Mullen, and considering Nasian's ability is to reproduce any sort of droga, a hypothetical droga de yor, if he got his grubby little mitts all over it, he could get an infinite droga de yor. But at the moment, what he needs now is Mullen. But the issue is, since they're still sealed in here, Nasian's is kind of locked away. And if there's one thing I have to say I'm kind of waiting for from this arc, I need a Nasian's dub. Desperately. Why? Why are we not gonna dub to my boy? Why are we not gonna dub to, well, not my boy. Why are we not giving a dub to my other child? We already have to worry about my one baby. But, like, in terms of the original baby, my original child, my original offspring, Nasians, they're desperately dubless right now. Like, horribly, down atrociously dubless. So I'm hoping they get out of this and get to cook a little bit, hopefully with saving Myrtle, or something along those lines where we actually get to see Nasians cook a little bit. Another thing that is really neat, I do like this little callback. Diane just straight up admits that despite her kid, especially Myrtle, feeling bad about her current state, Diane is like, I'll be real with you. This is light work. This doesn't even count as a scratch to me. Which is crazy to think about if you don't know the original series. But for all my original series readers, it may have been literally a decade at this point. Like, I think it actually is a decade now. And Seven Deadly Sins ran for what, like 7 years? Oh, wow! But, like, with that being the case, if you remember Diane in Season 1, she genuinely had a hole in her body. So yeah, this actually is pretty light work. And I do like how Nakoa plays with that. Once again, it's one of the more subtle callbacks to the original series. Like, I do appreciate these almost as much as I enjoy the blatant callbacks, but it's something like this, where if you're original reader Similarly Sins, you get this little extra moment where you actually get to laugh with Diane, knowing that she genuinely has taken way worse amounts of damage in way more dangerous scenarios. It's sad and twisted in a way, but also really, really nice. I do like that Nakoa throws in these little bits for us that we appreciate if you read the original series. Once again, I don't know how someone who didn't read the original series would react to something like this, but could be funny anyway. But another thing that does get established here is that ultimately the kids are going to go one way and Diane's going to go another. The kids are currently running to back up SIXTUS because they think Sixis has everything handled. They had absolute, real, and proper faith in my baby boy. But, like, of course, Myrtle's scenario is resolved. As they say themselves here, come on now. We know Father would never lose. King is currently set up real nice, real clean. He's legit toying with his food, which is another thing we'll go on to see later in this chapter. Unfortunately, that aspect of King has not been disinherited from the bloodline. No, it's still very, very prevalent. But the kids are sent to back up Sixtus, while Diane is going to back up King. I'll admit, once again, if there's one thing that this arc has been consistent with, admittedly, for the sake of a more interesting story and character conflict, so I'm okay with it, but I want to bring it up because it's just continuing a pattern, and I hope it's a pattern that's mostly exclusive to this arc, because you're gonna have to do a lot of contrivances and sort of stacking upon stacking of character idiosyncrasies in order to make the plot function in the way that it needs to function. There's absolutely no reason for Diane to go to King and not go to Sixtus. Legitimately, it doesn't make sense. Like, I get to some degree, maybe it's like a distance thing. Maybe they're closer to the throne, and maybe Diane doesn't want them to have to run as far. But, like, unironically, sending all your kids who you deeply and desperately want to protect, as we see with this very chapter. Even Nassim sort of admits, like, hey, yeah, a mother's love is something sacred. It's truly a marvel. It's something transcendent. I really wish I could have that. He even feels a little bit jealous of Myrtle. Like, despite Diane being best mama in the manga right now, she does just make what I think can't necessarily be argued as anything other than a stupid decision to drive the plot in one particular direction. Because, like, she would back up Sixtus. She would want to protect her kids. She very explicitly, in the previous chapter, was someone who she knew was more or less basically harmless, was still enough of a threat that she was like, no, kids, you stay behind me. So you mean to tell me Diane, mama of the manga, is really gonna let her kids run off and wander off to an opponent that she doesn't have the full scope of? And he's really gonna go run to her husband, who she knows would A, call her for help if he really needed something, and B, definitely has the scenario under control on his own with his raw amounts of power that Diane would know about? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I get it. You gotta have a plot to plot, and the only way you can have a plot to plot is keeping the really powerful characters out of the plot. But, like, the only reason I'm so iffy with this one is because this whole chapter is about how great of a mama Diane is. And I think most people in general, not to talk of good mamas or bad mamas, just in general, would be like, I'm not gonna send my kids to an unknown factor. And I'm going to go help my other kid, now that I've helped the one kid. I wouldn't just abandon all of them and send them off to an unknown, dangerous area while me running in the opposite direction to go help my husband, who completely has the scenario under control. Like, whether it be your husband, your wife, or anything like that. I feel like that's contrived, and I feel like that does kind of go against the message of this chapter. But, I mean, it's fine. Once again, I'm more so okay with it because of the plot that we need to have and the plot that we do get. And we see, once again, like I mentioned earlier, Sixtus unfortunately kind of inherited a lot of his father. Not just his appearance, not just similar abilities with the spirit weapons, but also a certain thing with his arrogance. As we see, he uses Form 2 Hummingbird, which is his variation of Increase, to absolutely tear through all the cloaks around him. And then we see the cloaks team up, they use 3 of their magical abilities, or actually 4, and Sixtus reveals another form of the spirit sword, Maglia Hexagonal Wall. Once again, it goes to show that King, as the kids even mentioned earlier, King is undeniably the strongest fairy, but Sixtus is a clean runner-up. A lot of people think he has enough raw magical power to be the next in line for the throne. Obviously, Sixtus wouldn't be that for, like, literal millennia. Like, at least 4,000, assuming Gerhardi and King can live the same time length, which I presume they can, both royal children. But still, he already has enough raw magical power, but you can see the difference. And I do like how Nakaba set that up. The Spirit Spear is undeniably greater than the Spirit Sword, just as King is undeniably greater than Sixtus. His increase is smaller and more tiny. His shield ability in Hexagonal Wall is one-directional, not omnidirectional like Pollen Garden. Doesn't seem to have any of the healing properties of Pollen Garden. And also, just it's really, really small, even relative to Sixtus. I know it's twice Sixtus' size, but remember how tall Sixtus is. He's like original series king size. Season 1 king size. So he's very tiny. So Hexagonal Wall, it ain't the best ability, but you know, once again, we're setting up the Spirit Sword, not the Spirit Spear, and we haven't gotten the Spirit Sword all the way since Helbram, once again, all the way back in Season 1. But, of course, since Sixtus goes on this whole little talk, I'm like, dude, come on now. You know how much stronger I am than all? You know how far they all owe to me? You know, honestly, I just think I'm Himothy. Hold on. Let me hit this pose that's never been hit in history and led to a bad outcome. You know, nah, I would win. And then he proceeds to get not overwhelmed at first. The three cloaks do a merger type move, and Sixis is able to block it, but once again, that arrogance gets to his head as he says, not bad. You had that all along. You should have brought it out sooner. But there's a few you left, so you're kind of sunk, aren't you? Only for, Sixis, there were not a few of them left. Unfortunately, my baby boy definitely underestimated his opponent here. And we see that Sixis is shocked to find that they all start doing the fusion dance without the dance and just start merging together. And notably, before Sixis can even get an attack off, he switches the Spirit Sword to Spirit Sword First Form, Maglia, and his Maglia Stila gets completely blocked off before he can launch it. He's immediately locked in the Perfect Cube. The caster of the Perfect Cube teleports 4 bouncing elements in. Absolutely eviscerates Sixtus with that. Sixtus actually, I'm not sure if this is, I'm pretty sure it's the magic, but it may be the cube itself shattering from Sixtus' attack, breaks from the inside, and then, yeah, he's very clearly cooked. But not cooked by nobody, cooked by the last knight. This is the final knight of the 4 evils. Warland. I'm not sure, but Warland. The White Knight of the 4 evils. And it looks like he's the mage type. Now we have all of the 4 evils at least dropped, and we have all their names. We have Ironside, Pelgard, Beltripe, and Warland. And just as I feared, unfortunately, since Warland is such a high-level opponent, Sixis just couldn't compete and ended up getting speared immediately. And Warland does end up flipping his own words back on Sixtus, like, hey, you know, I hate to boy the week too. It's just so unfortunate. Yeah, so Warland is kind of monstrous. And notably, he spears Sixtus while not even looking at him. Like, this is just a casual attack that he does. So, yeah. It's not looking good. So Sixis is in danger. His 2 parents are currently wasting their time on Kilbegon, who they thought was the real threat, which I don't blame him for. Warland did a fantastic job of setting himself up as the lesser threat, so when he was sent off to go retrieve La Droga de Yor, they wouldn't suspect it. Warland is already set up as an extremely powerful character. We saw how dangerous Sixis was already, so having Sixis' job for Warland is actually really good. Even if technically we saw how strong Sixis was by him defeating Warland and Kilbegon, I still think this does work out. Dropping the final knight here is actually a pretty bold move. I didn't think we were going to get the final knight for a while now, but no, now we've dropped him and seen that he's the mage type. This is going to be interesting. I wonder if he does have a weapon all to his own. Notably, we don't get to see one here. He seems purely like the mage type, and notably, fun fact, I think this is the first person to genuinely cast Perfect Cube on their own in this series. We know that Perfect Cube is a very high-level spell, only performed by some of the best mages in Britannia, and obviously those beyond it. Chandler uses Perfect Cube, I'm pretty sure, or at least he invented it. He had something to play along with it. Merlin had Perfect Cube, and she used it for herself, and Vivian had Perfect Cube. And those 3 are some of the most powerful mages in the original series. So Warland being able to cast that goes to show not only is he the mage type, but he's an extremely powerful mage type, and in a tier all to his own. So the kids are cooked. I genuinely do not fully understand what they're going to be able to do against Warland, especially considering, like, dog, Sixis is probably their strongest, so they're in danger. But that's the main thing. Sixis is essentially set up to jobs very, very well, and sets up Warland really, really well. But now the question becomes, are we going to get rid of Sixtus? Once again, we do have 7 kids. So sacking one of them wouldn't be the worst, but I really don't want to sack Sixtus. You know exactly what I want to sack. We need to sack Pow. But I'm worried because of how this chapter ends up ending and what's set up in this chapter, what's going to happen next. But if anything, what I truly see is the kids stalling for a bit, and then an angry mama and an angry papa pulling up, seeing their baby boy skewered. So you know they gonna get cooking. Or Sixis and the kids are gonna be taken hostage and used against King Diane. Something gonna happen. But another thing that needs to happen, possibly, is the awakening of a certain knight in order to save the brother of his long-held friend. But overall, this chapter, it must be one thing above all others. It's worthy. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, please leave The Prince's Folly. The Prince's Folly. Folly. In the comment section down below. I want to thank you so much for watching. Please remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. And make sure to hit that notification bell so you not miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon below where you can support me for as low as $1 a month. Things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks include the 23-minute live reaction to this very chapter, ad-free variations of online videos, and if you become a $25 Patreon, $25 member, you can order whatever video you want. Also, if you want to make a one-time donation or a one-time video request, the link to my Ko-Fi is in the description down below. Now, thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That with the Pencil, writing off. I would like to give a thank you to all $3 members: O'Connor Plays, Greyhound, Atkins Void, Astro, Eternal Flame, Red Wolf 4765, G Prosper, and Paris Arnold. And I'd like to give a thank you to our $5 patrons: Steron, Sean, Midnight Lord 21, Kevin, and Igneel. And I'd like to give a big old thank you to our $7 members: Autumn Mornings Lazo and Sick Addiction. And I'd like to give a big old thank you to our $10 member, Robbie Uchiha. I'd like to give a gargantuan thank you to our $10 patrons: Panda Goat, Joaquin, and Idem Okami. And I'd like to give a gargantuan scrumdiddlyumptious thank you to our $25 patron, ChinaDoll09, and I'd like to give another gargantuan gargantuan I have no idea what that word. Thank you to our $25 patron, Calvin Elder.